This video will show you viewport functionality in paths. You might have seen viewport functionality in clipping plane. Similarly, you can have viewport functionality for the paths. So for a clipping plane, what you would do is have a clipping plane like that. Press C, and then hovering over the clipping plane, press spacebar, and then you can just switch on the clipping port by setting the clipping port not clipping port, viewport, by setting the viewport coordinates and a transfer function, and then you can see the data in the viewport. Let me just remove the viewport now. I'm switching off the viewport, remove the clipping plane. In a similar fashion, we can have a viewport for the paths. So let's start the path. Now, what the path will give you is that you can use path to say straighten your data. So let me explain that by showing you what I mean by straightening the data. So I've added another transfer function which shows the lungs and the trachea and in this channel in this data. Now what we will do is we'll put a path going through this this channel here on into the lungs. So let me take this clipping plane down so that it doesn't interfere. Let me just hide the clipping plane, and now let us add the path. So I have a point here, a point here. So I'm adding these points over, and let's say it goes up to this point here. So spacebar and then path. Then let's give a radius. So these are the path parameters. So let's say radius is say 50. So we have got this radius 50. Let's also increase the smoothness 10, and then hover over the path and go down here. This is viewport. So 0 0. So these are the coordinates. So 0 0 is this point here, and then width of the viewport. So I want to occupy the entire width of this screen here, and then half the height of the screen, and then viewport transfer function set is 0. So let me turn on the points here. So these are the points here, and these are the points here. And now we have what we have got here is a straightened really a straightened version of this data here. This is what I call as the multi-perspective projection. So we essentially have a camera at every Control Z. So essentially we have a camera at every point along the path, and then taking snapshots and then creating a cohesive image in this viewport here. So click in the viewport, it will bring up these points here, and then you can use say shift key and then left mouse button to increase the size. So the red axis here this is going inside. So let me just turn off this here. So what I'll do is I can also go it here. So Oh, so if you are within the viewport, press spacebar and then you can bring up the path parameters. So let me just change that. So I'll take transform functions from set 1 to 0. Let me put that in transform function in set 1, and then oops, and then viewport transform function set 1 here. So in the main viewport, I'm showing the transfer functions from set 0, and in the path viewport I'm using transfer functions from set 1, and then I can move these points here, alt and then left mouse button to rotate the path. As you can see here, I'm rotating the path. So the red axis here is your height, the width is given by this entire path here, and the depth is governed by the green axis. So this green axis, the length of the green axis will govern the depth. You can change the depth by using shift and then wheel, mouse wheel. So I'm using shift and mouse wheel to reduce the size of this green axis. Then I can go to individual points and then use mouse wheel to change their positions. As you can see this, I'm moving this point here. And 6, we would like to move that inside, so shift, so left mouse button and drag up or down to change the position. Let's also bring that down here and increase the size. So shift and so this is how you can use it to straighten, or you can use multi-perspective camera. And then you can also rotate using, say, alt. And you can also rotate them individually. So I'm using mouse wheel to move these individual points. And then using left mouse button, I can go in and out, or essentially move along, say, green axis, that is along the depth, using the left mouse button. You can also rotate again. And then you can also move along the path. So this is how we can use multi-perspective camera or viewports in path. Now if you want to remove the viewport, then you can just hover within the viewport and then press delete. So press delete. So I'm switching off the viewport. So essentially what I'm really doing here is changing these parameters here, setting it to -1, -1, -1, so that the viewport is turned off. So I'm now changing the coordinates, and you'll see that it's occupying this tiny space here. And so on. So you can make use of the viewport. And then using shift and then mouse wheel to increase the size of green axis, or you can go press spacebar and then change the size of green axis. Rad S, say 50, or rad S, say 200, rad S 200, and so on.